Hi, it's Carl Mitchley here from the 10th Essex Living History Group. Carrying on with my fourth tutorial, it's now time to look at the British soldier in 1917. With the horrors of the Somme offensive still ringing in their ears, 1917 was to be another testing year for the British and Empire armies. In the early summer, men, weapons and ammunition were marched up to the Ypres salient to prepare for another onslaught against the determined German defenders. On the 7th of June 1917, the Battle of Messines started. The battle was a prelude to the Third Battle of Ypres. 19 mines were detonated on a hot summer's day, followed by a rolling artillery barrage. Men, aircraft and tanks working together soon took control of the Messines Ridge. The Third Battle of Ypres, or Passchendaele as it would become known, started on the 11th of July and would pass into history as one of the most horrific battles of the war so far. It soon started to rain and wouldn't stop for months. Men slipped off the duckboards crisscrossing the landscape and drowned in the liquid mud, unable to claw themselves to safety. One of the regiments involved was the 2nd 8th Battalion, the London Regiment, part of 140th Brigade, 47th London Division. Here we can see the typical equipment of a member of the 2nd 8th London Regiment, known as the Post Office Rifles. He uses the standard 1908 pattern webbing equipment, although some of the component pieces are carried in a different position to the set the soldier carried in 1914. Here we can see the standard 1902 pattern jacket, but being a rifle regiment, it has the black crown and hunting horn buttons rather than the brass general service buttons worn by non-rifle regiments. In the right-hand pocket, as worn, is the soldier's paybook. All soldiers were to keep the paybook in this pocket so as to be identifiable if killed. All soldiers also carried 2 compressed fibre identity discs on a lace around the neck, again for identification. The cap is the soft cap introduced in 1916 with the introduction of the steel helmet. 2 No. 5 Mills bombs were to be carried in the lower pockets. Each man was now carrying bombs for the specialist bomb throwers and should be proficient in their use if they needed to do so. A cloth private purchase belt was popular for keeping the trousers up, although braces were still issued. Belts such as these often had a small change pocket, and soldiers would often attach their clasp knife using privately purchased belt clips. The first field dressing and separate iodine ampule was sometimes combined in 1917 depending on manufacturer. They were only combined for a short period before it was ordered the 2 items should be again separate. In 1917, cloth or Hessian helmet covers were a popular issue to the troops, reducing shine at night. It was also ordered that mild steel rims be added to helmets during manufacture to prevent soldiers cutting each other with their exposed rims in the tight confines of a trench. Here we see the Spicer goggles as issued in 1915 to protect against tear gas. By 1917, all soldiers were supposed to carry these or rubber goggles as backup, and they were issued in a little card envelope. Also as backup to the smallbox respirator is the PH hood in its protective satchel. Above this we can see the buckle on the entrenching tool kidney-shaped pouch. The buckle and strap were first seen from July 1916, replacing the earlier pattern fastened by a Newey snap fastener. Due to the Germans introducing mustard to their gas weapons in the late summer of 1916, the small box respirator, or SBR, was introduced. Although the Germans had used mustard as a weapon, mustard gas itself was not used until July 1917. On top of the SBR bag is a gas diary to record when the SBR was exposed to gas, an instruction sheet and a box of Glasso anti-dimming cream to be rubbed onto the lenses to prevent fogging. The SBR was the primary gas protection, with the PH hood and Spicer or rubber goggles used as backup. Here we can see a leather jerkin. Originally introduced in 1915, the jerkin was a popular replacement to the greatcoat, as it didn't hold water and drag in the mud. They had proved their worth in the freezing winter of 1916 to 1917. On top is a private purchase Tommy cooker and an enamelled mug. These enabled individual soldiers an opportunity to cook food or make themselves a brew whenever a chance arose. To the right is the Mark VII ground sheet cape with collar, which was introduced in May 1917 to replace the earlier pattern ground sheet. On top of this is the soldier's kit or wash roll. In 1916, khaki drab holdalls like this were issued as well as the earlier white variety. Finally, here we can see a close-up of the kit or wash roll showing the fiddleback, fork and spoon, shaving equipment and comb. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.